found my flashlight. So by the time that this video is obviously up, it is no longer Christmas. And it is very close to New Year's, so Happy New Year's, everyone. But that doesn't mean I can't talk about films I watched last week. So let's watch them, shall we? I only watched 4 films last week, and it's not the most I've ever done in 1 week. That would be like 27 back in July. But I think these are a good collection of films, both this year and some older ones as well. So let's get into them, shall we? 4 films. Let's try and keep this under 10 minutes. Let's get going. First up, the last Christmas film I watched for this year, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Jim Carrey edition. I gotta say, this is a definite Christmas classic. Everyone loves this film, and I love this film as well. Jim Carrey is one of my favorite actors, and I just love everything that he's been in. One of my favorite films of all time stars Jim Carrey as well, so that's how much I love him. And I gotta say, as much as everyone always loved this, I actually didn't really like this much as a kid, mainly because the makeup effects creeped me out as a kid. And whilst they are very impressive, they terrified me, and they still unnerve me to this day, let's be honest. And also, funny enough, this is on Disney Plus for some reason. I don't know why this is on Disney Plus, but hey, the weirder things have happened, I guess. I think that the performances are all great here. It's definitely obvious that Jim Carrey defined the Grinch. I mean, if you're ever gonna role play as the Grinch or anything, you're obviously gonna do a Jim Carrey performance. And it is absolutely timeless here. It's really funny. There's so many jokes here that just land, especially when the Grinch just does the tablecloth trick and just pulls it away, and all the stuff is still on the table. Well, that's one of the funniest things ever. It has a lot of heart here and there, and it has a good, decent message here and there as well. The characters are all enjoyable and likable. The makeup and the set designs is impressive, to say the least. And it's just all around just a good time. And I'm surprised that it's pretty accurate as well. Most of the lines and the rhymes are actually taken verbatim from the source material. I should know, I read the source material, not as a kid, but literally after I watched the film, I read the book online, and it's very accurate just how many lines are from the source material. So there's that. The one thing I don't like is the joke about the baby looking like the wife's boss. I hate infidelity so much, and that pissed me off even as a kid. And I would tell you what I would want for the husband to do to his wife, but I feel like I would get arrested for saying that, so I'm just gonna leave it as that. But still, even then, I would only say that as a joke for legal reasons, of course. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Definitely a Christmas classic, and I'm very glad to manage to watch it before Christmas came to an end. So no hate here. All right, this one. I was preparing the Christmas dinner whilst I was watching this. I'm pretty much just going to be making or roasting the potatoes now every year. So yeah. Anyways, Madagascar. It is incredibly funny. I forgot how funny it is. Out of the 3 films in the Madagascar trilogy, I do think I prefer the third one the most, even though it's probably the weakest out of the bunch. But that isn't a knock on the other 2 films. They're very good, and this one is incredibly good as well. It's so funny. So many jokes that I hear is just timed so perfectly well. It's like a constant joke one after another, and the story that is presented here is decent enough. And I like the characters within this. They're all charming and likable, and it's no wonder that this film turned into a massive franchise. All the characters are extremely likable. And you gotta appreciate the meme factor of them all. And I swear to God, the penguins are at another league of their own. It's no wonder they're super spy agents and all that who save the world. Yeah, it's just incredibly funny. Yeah, they're all charming, they're all likable, and the animation is incredibly expressive, and it adds to the comedic value to the entire film. And whilst there isn't much going on here, it's it feels very loose with its story, and even then, it doesn't feel like it has much themes, unlike some of the other great DreamWorks franchises. But what is there is charming, it's likable, it's endearing, it's funny, and it's just a lot of fun, I guess. That's all I need to say. Okay, both films that I'm going to talk about are from 2025. Just to add to the year if I ever talk about all the films in one video. So after 10 years or so, or about 9 years, let's be honest, about 9 to 10 years or whatever, I finally have a Disney film that I love from modern Disney. Now let me say this. Throughout the past 10 years, Disney has given us nothing but, at worst, terrible films that is a stain on their reputation, to great films that I don't love. For example, terrible films, Wish. I will forever hate that film for what it represents. But at the very top, you're going to hate me, Moana and Encanto. They are really good films that I just don't love. I don't really see the hype. It's probably for Moana. I've watched that film so many times, it's just getting old. And that's the same thing with the first Zootropolis, let's be honest. And Encanto is overrated. And quite frankly, not really that well told, especially with certain angles of its family dynamic. And I truly wish and I truly believe that Mirabelle should have disowned everyone in her family, except for her father and her younger cousin. And Bruno, of course. And of course. I think the family would have been better off if they all just disowned the grandma, let's be honest. Yeah, I have so many problems with Encanto, but I don't think it's a bad film. But I can safely say that out of every film that came out from the past 10 years of Disney, Zootropolis 2 is the best of all of them. I'm not taking anything back. Yeah, Moana is good, but I don't love it. Encanto is actually overrated, and Zootropolis is very mixed-mashed with its themes, and I don't think it's presented all that well. And you could say the exact same thing with Zootropolis 2. And even then, the idea of portraying separate species that cannot breed with each other, especially with separate types of animals like mammals and now reptiles and all that, it definitely feels like that. It definitely feels like that it doesn't work equally as well. Considering the fact that the first film is actively trying to hammer down the racism and prejudice angle. But I think this one, it tones that down a lot, and it tells its own story, and it tells its own version of racism. And really, the first film has its own form of racism with like predator and prey, but they're just trying to survive. It's that sort of thing. It's just trying to survive. It's just predators trying to hunt down prey just to survive. That's different, I guess, but really it's just the natural order of things. But here, it's actually prejudice. It's actually well done prejudice. It's the like of the fact that reptiles had their own section in Zootropolis, and it's this massive conspiracy where a lynx family is trying to hide everything and try to boot them out because they don't like reptiles and all that. That is well done storytelling. It's its own version of prejudice. And I think the way it's handled is really well. Sure, it doesn't make sense that that the first film never mentions reptiles or birds or even primates. I do not think we've seen a single primate in either of these films. So there's that. But I think what is shown is done really well. Yeah. But yeah, anyways, I do think that the prejudice and racism angle is tackled way better, mainly because it's done its own form of prejudice, where one misunderstanding spitballed into an entire sort of prejudice belief and all that. I think that's done really well. But anyways, what about the rest of the film? It's really good. It's good. Nothing in the past 10 years has given me something that I truly enjoyed. I feel like I might have my enjoyment lessen over the years, much like the first film, but what I've seen is just really, really good. It's so funny. There's so many jokes that's just packed into this, and it just keeps on coming and coming and coming every 3 minutes, from subtle innuendos to full-on references from the likes of The Shining and Silence of the Lambs. But it's not overbearing to the point it's actively trying to ruin emotional moments. It does that sort of writing really well. I still think Nick and Judy have really great chemistry, and it's nice to see their relationship get expanded upon this in a very natural way that delves into their conflicts and their struggles, and it's a nice sort of therapy sort of thing. I think the new characters with the likes of the snake of Gary D. Snake is just a really good presence. Even though they don't really meet the snake till about over 2/3 of the way into the film, but Judy doesn't. I don't think Nick has a meaningful interaction with the snake at all. And the new beaver new beaver gal, Nibbles, she might seem a bit annoying at first, but she got along. Patrick Warburton is in this as a horse mayor, and he's obviously meant to be a parody of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I initially thought it was a parody of Ronald Reagan, considering the fact that it's an actor turned mayor, but what the hell. But yeah, all the characters are really endearing, and the Lynx family is this rich billionaire mafia villains. It works really well for the racism colonization messaging the film is trying to tell you. Yeah, but tell you, and there is a twist villain in this, and I won't reveal what it is, but it's the first twist villain that was done by Disney that actually worked since King Candy. What do you know? What do you know? This is now 7 minutes. Yes, I definitely think that this film has a lot of qualities that makes it really good. I'm very glad that Disney can actually make something good again. And it's not preachy, it's not overbearing, and it doesn't try to hammer the sort of thing down, which is something that the first film had major problems with. And it's a sort of thing that so much of modern Hollywood is just doing for so many wrong reasons. Overall, this is definitely the best Disney animated film in the past 10 years. I will not apologize for saying that, and I think this is probably one of Disney's best Disney animated films so far. Whereas with Pixar, I will say it's a different beast, but I think this film is better than pretty much all of Pixar's films that's been released since 2020. I will say that. And Marvel and Star Wars, I won't. No. Anyways, on to the final film. The final film is the only letdown, let's be honest, Mickey 17. I haven't felt more mixed with a film since Civil War. And what I mean is, I don't know how to feel about this film. It's something I wanted to watch for quite a while, hoping it will be incredible, but I just came out feeling indifferent, I guess. It's not bad. It is not a bad film. But considering the fact that this was directed by the same guy who directed Parasite, it leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, the story is alright. Really, the whole conflict could have just been avoided if the people flying this mission went to any other planet than knockoff Hoth. Let's be honest, they could have done the colonization of another planet much better on any other planet than a giant ice snowy planet filled with giant worm walruses. That's on them, let's be honest. To be honest, I feel like I really feel like with the concept of cloning, which this film is based on, that's the title, Mickey 17, he's the 17th clone. Right? I really think of the concept of cloning I was expecting a lot more to happen instead of what we got. It feels like it was a bit half-baked and not really all that great. But yeah. Bong Joon Ho has done some really good films. Parasite was incredible, and I haven't watched The Host or Snowbreaker. I think that is the film. Let me just check. Snowpiercer, yes. Sorry, Snowpiercer. But I'm pretty sure those films are great, but this one is not really that great. Let's be honest. The main character is interesting enough. I like his voice. It was a bit funny, though I thought it was a bit annoying at first, but it was funny. It was though I was more interested in his fleeting connection with uh, with one of the other passengers on this trip, more so than I was with his lover or whatever. Especially considering the fact that technically, considering the fact that I was actually interested if he was going to have an affair with her instead of his lover Nasha. Considering the fact that he was being cucked by himself or his clone, or whatever. Though at the same time, I was glad that he didn't have an affair with Kai because fuck infidelity. But still, I wasn't as interested with what else was going on, and it feels like that Kai was just dropped halfway through, especially considering she felt like she was going to be a lot more important. But yeah, there's not really much going on, I guess. The cast is fine; it's solid enough. I am really glad that Robin Pattinson is making a solid career after the disaster he's been in since Twilight ended. I guess. And his nervousness with 17 is charming, and his brashness with 18 was intriguing enough. Yeah, I like Mark Ruffalo's performance as not Orange Man, if you know who I'm talking about. This, he does a solid job, and I found many of his moments funny. Though the obvious knock on right wing groups and the even more obvious parody on the Orange Man, the shtick just got a bit boring at the end. And I'm someone who doesn't give a crap about him. Who finds jokes made about his foolishness funny, but I just got bored by it at the end. Quite frankly, American politics are just a bunch of hoo-ha, let's be honest. At this point, all politics are just a bunch of hoo-ha. But really, the obvious knock on right-wing groups, it just didn't really sit well with me. And it just got really boring with me at the end. It just wasn't really that funny, even though some moments with Mark Ruffalo was funny, but it just got a bit boring at the end. Naomi Aki was good as Nasha. Anna Maria Bartolome does fine with Kai, even though like I said, I did want more out of her than we got. The CGI with the creepers, the worm walruses, the worm walruses were charming to interact with. I like their designs, I guess. But the whole thing just feels half-baked, not really that great, and it just really should have done a lot more than it did. Overall, despite me and I did want to watch this when it first came out. I'm kind of glad I didn't waste my money on it because there's not really much getting out of it. Again, this was the director of Parasite, Best Picture winner, Parasite. But comparing this to that, it's a massive letdown. But not comparing it to that, it's just forgettable. That's the best way I could put it. Just forgettable. Right, 4 films. What are my opinions on them? How the Grinch Stole Christmas, a 9 out of 10. Madagascar, an 8 out of 10. Zootropolis 2, I'm never calling it Zootopia because I'm from the UK. A 9 out of 10. And Mickey 17, some of you might hate me, but it's just a 6 out of 10, I guess. It's not bad. It's just not great, I guess. So that's it. This will definitely be my final video of the year. And hopefully in January I'll give you some big videos to do that. Every film I watched so far every film I watched from this year so far ranked, as well as some other videos I have ideas and all about. Don't expect massive editing because I need to get stuff done. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's the end of today's video, everyone. Please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Leave a comment down below of what you thought of these 4 films, as well as any films you would like me to watch next. And finally, I want to say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in 2026. Merry Christmas, Merry Late Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate, and Happy New Year. Have a good one.